Are you ever asked, is this a good time to buy or sell? Do you get that question? No, is this a good time to be buying? Is this a good time to be selling? What do you say? Did you know that it doesn't matter what you say? They don't believe you. No, they don't believe you. You're a realtor. They used to believe you. They used to believe me. They don't believe me anymore. Things have been too tough out there. They don't believe realtors. They don't believe the government. They don't believe Wall Street. They don't believe. Okay, so they're going to say, oh, you're a realtor. You just say, yeah, buy, 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 sell, sell, sell. Now's the time. Right? So I think one of the things, because it matters what? Who says it? So my advice would be when somebody says, hey, is this a good time to buy? Have some independent, expert material that you can show to them to help them to decide. That's much more powerful. Would you agree, yes or no? I'm going to show you a couple of examples. By the way, anybody that wants this PowerPoint, if you'll give me your card afterwards, I'll email the PowerPoint to you. Okay, so I'm going to show you some charts and stuff. How many of you are familiar with this website, FHFA.gov? A few of you are? Okay. You can go there. Yeah, you can analyze 300 and some markets in the country. And basically, one of the things you can do is plot over a 40-year period what the appreciation is. And if you look at appreciation over time and throughout the country, generally it's cyclical, but you can calculate the trend line. And one of the things I teach at Colorado State University, I teach in the real estate school there at the College of Business. One of the things I teach is what we call equilibrium theory. Markets seek balance. They seek equilibrium. Just like nature seeks balance, markets seek balance. Balance of supply and demand. And if you plot the balance point or the equilibrium over time, you can tell if a market is out of balance one way or the other. You can tell when the market's oversold and too high, and you can also tell when it's undersold and it's too low. You know, when it's going up like this, the media and everybody jumps on the bandwagon. They think it's going to what? Just keep on going. Okay, there's new economics. The old laws of supply and demand no longer apply. And then, of course, when it goes in the tank, they what? Oversteer. Oh, ain't it awful? Oh, it's horrible. And the fact is, you know, markets will balance over time. Right now, the markets are starting to balance back and turn back up again. Here's a chart that, you know, prices do decline, and it shows different markets, what the peak to trough decline was, the duration, and the time required to climb back to the original peak. For example, Honolulu, when it was oversold with the Japanese influence in the 80s, it went down 24%. It took 9 years to hit bottom, and it took 13 years to get back to the peak. Now, what you'll notice when you look at this chart is it takes longer to get to the bottom generally than it does to start to climb back out. Okay? The recovery happens quicker than the decline. I showed this chart at a meeting in January of 2005 and said, you know what, in northern Colorado, I'm concerned that we are probably headed into a trough. And I was laughed off the stage. Okay? But all you got to do is look at equilibrium theory, and it's very predictable. Okay? What's happening? Now, one of the questions that people have is, well, where are we in this peak to trough to peak? And have you heard of Case-Shiller? Dr. Shiller is a professor at Yale. He does all these economic models. He tracks home prices. That's what he does. And he predicts. Okay? And he's predicted markets as to where we are in the cycle and how long it will take for them to come back. Now, have you seen this chart? If you look at the red, those are the market areas that are going to take the longest to come back. The blue are the ones that will be back actually within the next 24 months. He's predicting those markets will be back to their pre-cycle peak by 2013. Here we are almost at 2011. What do you notice about that chart? Where's Boulder County? Blue. Where's Larimer County? Where's El Paso County? Blue. Those markets he predicts, or they predict, will be back within the next 24 months. Is that good news? Now, if a buyer says to you, is this a good time to buy? Don't say, oh yeah, buy, buy, buy. Say, well, you know, would you be interested in seeing what Dr. Shiller has to say about the forecast for the market cycles, and you show them this map. Would that be more powerful? Yes. Okay. Now, what happens if you're in, like my son, he's in Las Vegas. Back to the peak in 2025 or later. They got a 15-year wait. Okay? How many of you are familiar with PMI-US.com, this website? Okay, if you're not, I encourage you to go there. It's not the easiest website to navigate. When you get there, you want to click on ERET, Economic and Real Estate Trends. And what it will give you is 381 housing markets, and they will calculate a house price risk index. The risk index is, it shows home prices 2 years out. What's the risk that home prices will be lower in 2 years? Now, the Case-Shiller is a bunch of really smart people with an economic model making predictions. What PMI is, these are the guys. What is PMI? Private Mortgage Insurance. What do? They insure mortgages. These are the guys that are placing the billion-dollar bets on housing markets. I want to know what they're thinking. Are they thinking the same thing as the Yale guys are thinking? Because these are the guys that have the money at risk. Okay? And the other thing that they have is they have what they call a market affordability index. Base year of 100 is 1995. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, here's what it means for Boulder. Risk index is 26.1%. What does that mean? What is the risk that home prices in Boulder will be less in 2 years? What is the risk? 26.1%. Flip that around. What is the risk that home prices will be equal or higher in the next 2 years? 74%. If you were a buyer, would that make it this combined with what Case-Shiller is saying, would that cause you to be interested maybe in moving forward? Sure. What's the upside? Well, what that says is that home prices in Boulder can go up almost 18% and still be as affordable as they were in 1995. So there's some upside there. Are you guys with me so far? Let's look at Denver. Denver has the same risk index as Boulder, but it's got a little bit higher affordability index. Prices could go up a little bit more there. Boulder's a little pricier place than Denver. Okay? Fort Collins, very low risk index and a higher affordability index. There's less downside and there's more upside there. Come on up and we'll help you find some investment property in Fort Collins. Okay? Now I mentioned my son's in Las Vegas. Now he just bought on Friday, he closed on his first investment property. A brief history. He went to school at UNLV to be in the film business, which is what he's in. He lives out there. He was out there. He calls me and says, Dad, we need to get out here and buy some real estate. Our prices are going crazy. They've just gone up 30% that year. I looked at the equilibrium theory of markets and I said, Matt, that market's oversold. He says, oh, Dad, we're going to miss it. I said, no, you don't have any money. I have the money. We're not doing anything. The next year it went up another 30% and he rubbed my nose in it. I said, Matt, you wait. We'll buy 2 for 1. He bought his house in Rhodes Ranch that sold in 2005 for $450,000. He bought it for $180,000. He just bought his first investment property for $99,000. That sold in 2005 for $205,000. Okay? Now I said, Matt, if you buy this property, you better be sure you hold on to it for at least 2 years. And be prepared that the price is what? Going down. But here's why he bought. Look at the upside. And if he can hang through the 2 years, he's probably going to be okay. Okay, let's finish up with some actions. What can you do? You got the mindset, you got the skill set. You know how to ask the right questions. You know how to identify pain and pleasure. You know how to attract versus chase. You know how to have the resources. It matters who says it. Okay? Those are all skills. Now, what do you do to generate a continuous flow of buyers and sellers coming to you? Well, people prefer to work with people that they what? And that they what? And that they what? Now here's the challenge. How many realtors do they know, like, and trust? A lot, right? So how will they pick a realtor? There's research on this. You know how they pick a realtor? They pick the realtor that they were most recently in what? Flow with. And here's the challenge. The average American knows 10.2 realtors. So how will they pick a realtor? And by the way, what are the odds that they will pick the realtor that helped them with their last real estate transaction? Do you know what the odds are? 11%. 89% of the time they pick somebody else. Was it because the realtor did a poor job? No. It's because they what? Got in flow with somebody else. Okay? Herbert Research did a study on this. They found that buyers and sellers, that the process from when they get the idea to do something to when they actually have a closing is 9.3 to 21 months. And during that 9.3 to 21 months, they select a realtor in 24 to 72 hours. That choice is quick and arbitrary, based primarily on flow. They're online. They're prowling neighborhoods. They're talking to friends. They're picking up Homes magazines. They're doing all this stuff. Sometime during that 9.3 to 21 months, they will get the urge, I got to talk to a carbon-based life form called a human being. Who shall I call? I know 10, and they do a scan. They know 10.2 realtors. I'll call Judy. I just saw her at the health club. I'll call John. I was just talking to him at Rotary. Okay? I'll call George. I just got this flyer from him. Okay? They will call who they were in flow with. So if you want to build a business plan, this is a really simple business. All you have to do is amp up your what? Flow. Flow. Be in flow. Be in flow. But here's what happens. What is flow? Flow is frequency of interaction, face-to-face, on the phone, through the mail, through the email, through the Facebook. Flow, flow, flow. But here's the thing. The victim withdraws. They pull out of flow. They stop going to stuff. They stop calling. They stop sending stuff. They cut back on their expenses. They fall out of flow. And what happens is, you see, you are either visible or you're what? The player is visible. The victim is what? Invisible. They're living a life of silent, quiet desperation.